What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Rhea Tobin. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Dan. How are you?
I'm fantastic because my very favorite audience member is here today. And why is my favorite audience member here today? It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, operators, buyers, sellers, all that kind of fun stuff. And why do I do that? Well, there's a compliance piece to it. Biggest thing is, you have to know if there's any overlap between your business and other people who are in the business, but you really have to have a substantive relationship before you can share private deals. So I have these conversations with people, but before we get too excited with compliance, do you want to introduce yourself real quick to the audience?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Rhea Tobin, and I am a real estate syndicator, currently living in Southern Florida. Investing though in the Sun Belt area, so that's everything from Florida all the way over to Arizona, southern states mostly. Got properties in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas right now. And let's see, what can I tell you else about me? Okay, so I'm an Army brat, so I've lived all over the country,
Mhm.
and I prefer warm weather near the beach, hence why I live in Florida.
I
So
love I love it. I love it. And so the next thing that I want to mention, it's actually partially for the people in the audience here. Let's see if that works. No, I need to hit this first and not that. It's doing that. I might have to edit that. But wait, check your eight. Let's see if that came out properly. But wait, check your eight. So the issue with what your eight is, well, it's actually your five in the audience. But Rhea, can you see if the audience has the ugly red subscribe button or the beautiful gray one? Can you make? No, I'm just kidding. Let's keep going. Let's do the five distinct motivations that I find really show me the motivations for different syndicators, people in this business. And the first reason why people make their next acquisition is because they're trying to preserve their purchasing power. Now, what's all that about? It means if you have a big enough portfolio of assets that have cash flow coming from them, so they're profitable, then that's what you're using to make ends meet. But periodically, like if there's an asset crash or if inflation rears its ugly head, you have to make additional acquisitions just to make ends meet. So that's what some people are up to. That's not what I'm up to. What I'm up to is trading time directly for wealth. And what that's all about is I got a background in technology, and technology people are high wage earners, high salary earners. And the problem with that is it means you're paying more in tax than anybody else. So it hit me as like, well, I should pivot to something where I'm getting rewarded in the form of deployed wealth. And that's what I'm up to personally, but it's not for everybody. Some people, the reason why they're making commercial acquisitions is because they want to fast track their retirement. They want to take control of their schedule, their calendar. Maybe it means that they want to work fewer months per year. Maybe it means they want to work fewer hours per week. But regardless, that's what they're up to. And that's different from some other people who are in this sector, like the super ambitious ones, the ones who want to buy their entire hometown. They will not stop until they have that generational wealth, making sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. They want like hospitals with their names on them, stuff like that. That's why some people are they're going to hustle into their 90s. Whereas the last group, they've potentially picked a sector of society. Maybe they haven't figured out who it's going to be, but maybe it's going to be environment. Maybe it's going to be animals. Maybe they want to send people to space. Who knows? But they realize that you have to have a substantial nest egg if you're going to make a humongous impact on society or a sector of society. So they're making commercial real estate acquisitions for that. So of those five different motivations, what combination of those really describes you best?
Well, It's funny when you were saying that, because as you said each one, I was like, okay, is that me? And I was like, yes or no. So I think I fall between the category of fast track to retirement.
Mhm.
Definitely wanted to get out of the W-2. I too came from a technology background. So the golden handcuffs kept me stuck to a job I really wasn't happy with for a really long time, because getting that pay somewhere else was not an easy thing to do. So, and then so working the real estate just so that I can get out of the W-2, have a little more freedom of my time, but I also want to help people. So my goal is to start a foundation. As soon as I get myself in the real estate really up and ramped up, I want to start a foundation that helps kids that need help. So
I love it. I love it. So that brings me to the next question, which is the tolerance for risk assessment. So could you please fill in this blank? There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What's too risky for you?
Um, well, I was trying to think about that. I think there's risk in everything, but at the same time, if you're analyzed correctly and you are able to mitigate the risk, there's almost nothing that you can't do.
Mhm.
I do think really old properties tend to be a little too scary, because the bones may look good on the outside, but inside they've got maybe a little calcium deficiency, shall we say. So you just want to make sure that when you're checking it out, that you make sure it's solid structure inside and out. So
All right, beautiful. I love it because most people come on and they pick on crypto or equities or something like that. But even within
I
real
don't even
estate,
like crypto, so
oh
that's
yeah,
not.
right now it's a pretty hard one to like. But let's go through the six major roles in a commercial real estate deal. And if you're looking at this magical dandoesdeals.com commercial roll die and saying, wow, I want one of those, well, you just go to dandoesdeals.com. It's free. I don't even ask you for your email address, which is pretty much the worst thing any marketer could ever do. You should always ask for some sort of contact information in return for your freebie. But I didn't do that because I want to make sure that you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate and commercial real estate deals. So I go through all six of these in every single episode, and then I let my guests show where they fit into this deal. So let's start off by explaining the repositioner. The repositioner is an acquisitions person, but they're a fancy acquisitions person because they're doing all this paperwork. What are they doing with the paperwork? Well, there's a fancy word for it. It's called underwriting. And what it means is you're doing the arithmetic, you're doing the math to first of all figure out, hey, is this building even making the amount of money that the broker and the seller claim it is? And second of all, it's called a repositioner. It's not the most common term, but the reason why some acquisition people would be called repositioners is because they're figuring, how can I change the property? What changes can I do in order to find more upside? And there are three main tools in their tool belt to pull that off. First one is getting more advantageous lending from having a great network of financiers. Financiers are people who only deal with paper and money. But let's assume that the repositioner has access to the same as everybody else. The first place they're going to look is to optimize those operations, stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. But there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets and mowing lawns, collecting rent, and all that kind of stuff. One aspect that's often overlooked is the marketing aspect. And I like to emphasize that because that's one of my fortes. The marketing aspect is to make sure that the vacancy rate stays super duper low. But then I also bring other programming and web-based technology to my GP teams. But in all likelihood, real estate is super duper competitive. So optimizing operations is only going to do so much. So very frequently, repositioners will get a contractor team involved to fix the units up, make them a little bit nicer so that the next tenants will be happy to pay more than the previous tenants were. And that's a way to get upside. But contractors are super duper expensive and you have to stay on top of them. So one piece of the puzzle that repositioners, if they have the same problem that I have, which is I'm from the internet, so I need a local. I need somebody who lives nearby who can be there in an hour or so, because that's not going to be me. I'll still be stuck at the airport if that's the case. But if this is the GP team, in other words, the ownership team, and then the repositioner turns to the financier and says, okay, here's my team and here's the property that I got under contract. It's worth tens of millions of dollars. You don't happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars You want to lend me, do you? And the financier will have one big burning question that I haven't addressed yet, which is who's your KP? Who's the KP sponsor? And what that's all about is it may seem like a great idea if you got friends with a bunch of money to take over an apartment complex, but if you want to have a commercial loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. And on top of that, that you also need a certain amount of liquidity. And then between the ownership team, you need a net worth or a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you have all those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Rhea, as far as your core competencies, what are you likely to bring to your next deal in that way of framing it?
Well, I think my two biggest strengths are analyzing deals. I can, as a former program manager, I can really dig into spreadsheets and pick out all of the strengths and the weaknesses and be able to identify where there's opportunity for improvement. I've also done asset management on my current deals. So, and again, as a former program manager, I really know how to like figure out how to maximize and bring benefits so that you aren't throwing money down the toilet. I am getting into a position now where I can also be a KP, but it's still on small deals. So we're just going to work to build that up in the coming year or two.
Beautiful. I love it. And so then the next question has to do with ideal property. And just so you know, when commercial real estate investors, syndicators, and whatnot are talking about a buy box or an ideal property, there's three main boxes you need to check. The first one's geography. Where is it? Which states? Rhea already mentioned that. Which counties might be important? Which neighborhoods might even be key? Okay, so geography we have to know. Second one is the size of the deal. So you're going to have different people working on 5-unit deals or 15-unit deals from 500-unit deals. So you need to know where your core competency is. You need to know the size of the deal. If you're talking about other types of commercial real estate than multifamily or self-storage or whatever, it won't be unit count. It'll be square footage, but that's more for like industrial. But the size matters for sure. Third one is the one that bothers me a little bit because it's one word that has two different meanings. The word is class. The first meaning of the word class, it has to do with the condition of the building. So is it old or is it up to date? Is it no frills or is it lavish? Okay, that's the first meaning of class. The second meaning of class has to do with the neighborhood where the property is located. So how are the schools in that neighborhood? What's the crime rate in that neighborhood? And both of those two factors, both of those versions of class, they're rated the same way, just like in grade school where it's like A plus, A minus, B plus, and so on down like that. So Rhea, as far as I know you mentioned some of the details earlier, but we've got some virtual assistants who watch this show. So sorry for making you repeat, but what's the ideal property for you? What you looking for?
All right. So I mentioned before, I am looking in the Sun Belt area. I've got some properties now in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas, but looking just all in that area, mostly because still prices are in a more affordable range, like they have not been in a whole lot of areas across the country. But I do like I like a C property as long as it doesn't look like it's been beaten into the ground C property. So, something in the 1980s or earlier, preferably. I'll look at an older property as long as the previous owners have really maintained it. So we go back to want the bones to be, looking good on the outside as well as the inside. So if they've maintained it and kept it in good shape, so there are no things like, copper pipes in a bad area where water just kind of eats through copper pipes, or, electric wiring has been done, or lead paint has already been taken care of. Those are things that, if it's already been maintained, then we're good. If not, then I really don't want to be getting into such a nightmare to have to totally revamp a property to get it up to, new codes and all that good stuff.
Beautiful. And I'm not sure if I missed the unit count in there. Like,
Okay.
what's ideal for that?
Sorry, I probably just forgot. So generally speaking, I'm looking at 50 to 200 units. I don't want to be playing with the big boys yet, but I will someday. Right now, I just kind of want to be in that smaller space where, the competition is more in my speed lane. So.
I love that. And, so much of commercial real estate, it's about partnerships, and each different person, they have their different core competencies. But part of the thing is, even though we're all so helpful and friendly and eager to help people, like give referrals and build more teams, we all, because of our unique skill set, we're better suited to help some people more than others. And traditionally, I've always been on the lookout for more sponsored KPs. And the reason for that is because of the digital background, the marketing and whatnot. It's because they'll have the foundation in place where a hire such as myself is a very good fit. Whereas when you're first getting started as a repositioner, you need grunts who can put in 80 to 120 hours a week. And that's not going to be me. I got a family. So, Rhea, as far as you go, though, don't entice any investors if you have any 506B deals, because that's not cool. But who are you best suited? Who are you disproportionately suited to help? Who should reach out to you because you can help more?
Well, somebody that maybe doesn't actually know or isn't as comfortable doing analysis, because like I said, I can dig into an Excel spreadsheet like nobody's business. And then again, helping with, more on the asset management side, I tend to have the ability to not only think inside the box for traditional answers, but outside the box for maybe some innovative solutions to help either increase revenues or reduce costs, so that the property runs smoothly and is profitable for everybody.
I love it. And if they want to reach out to you, LinkedIn's a great way to spot me because, I got a distinct last name that helps. But how about you? Is LinkedIn the best, or is there a website that's better, or another platform?
Well, LinkedIn, I'm definitely on, obviously. And so it's Rhea Tobin, RHEA, and then Tobin, TOBIN. And then I have my website, which is rmtequitypartners.com.
All right, beautiful. And then the last thing I have, it's actually not for you, it's for you in the audience, which is if you have been having symptoms like a migraine, a searing pain in your eyeballs, it might be because under my left hand, you have one of those ugly red buttons that you really should get rid of. One of the biggest things, if you have any Gen Zs walking around and they see your screen and they see that red button, they're like, I thought I knew you. Like, why haven't you subscribed? Like, I know like peer pressure doesn't work on everybody, but all jokes aside, what it means is it doesn't cost you anything to hit the subscribe button. It means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. You can go ahead and ignore them. The only reason why I bug you to do it is because it has a magical power. If I get enough gray buttons, YouTube will start to pay for these videos instead of me. How cool is that, right? But again, you can go ahead and ignore all the list of suggestions. I just simply appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Rhea, I appreciate you spent this time with me. It's great to get to know you a little bit better.
Same here, Dan. I appreciate it as well. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks.
Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.